So, do you glow? Because apparently everybody's glowing today. We have Jesus turning a dazzling white. We have Moses' face glowing so much and for so long. And pretty much everybody else in these stories is pretty freaked out by the whole experience, which I think we can understand to a certain extent. The apostles, Peter, James, and John, upon seeing Jesus glowing white and seeing him suddenly engaged in a conversation with two of the great prophets who happened to be dead, they all go, wow, let's build some tents. Right? Because they're struggling a little bit with what's going on and how to deal with that. And the Israelites, right? So Moses comes down with the 10 Commandments, and he's glowing. And people are generally going like, should we tell him? Like, what's going on with this thing, with the glowing? And finally, it freaks them out so much that they make him wear a veil, right? Because they can't, I can't, it's too much, right? And then every once in a while, he goes back up the mountain, has a little talk with God, comes back, goes, peekaboo, still glowing, right? Give him his bona fides, right? But people can't handle that. But sometimes I think that we get so caught up in what happened, because they're pretty tremendous sci-fi stories for us, that we miss why they happened. A voice from the cloud says, "This is my son." Jesus was of God. That's why he was glowing. He had God within him. And Moses' face shone because he had been talking to God. He was in God's presence. And that changed how people experienced him. It changed how people saw him. So Jesus and Moses changed because they fully engaged with the presence of God. Right? They didn't shirk away from it. They didn't go, oh, this is a lot. Right? They said, this is what I need to do. This is who I am. They owned it as a true and real part of themselves. They glowed because they were in the presence of God. Do you know who else is in the presence of God? Oh, that's right, you. Me, all of us here, right? We're all made in God's image, which means we have God within us too. So we have the ability to glow because we have God in us the same way that Moses and Jesus had God in them. Now, before you think I've gone completely bonkers, let's think about this for a second and say, you know what? It's really not that weird to think about people glowing. Right? If you think about it, you've experienced people in your life who glowed. Moments when they were so in tune with what they were doing, that their true and real gifts were so obvious, that there was a presence, an aura about them. We've experienced that. You've seen people glow. And if you think about it then we got to go, well, you know what? What about your own life? And sometimes we like to be like, oh, not me, I'm not worthy. Everybody else glows, but not me, right? You glow. You've glowed. There have been moments in your life where you have felt connected to what you were doing. And there was just an ease and a flow about it that was so true and so real. And it was palpable to other people. This could be in your job. This could be in school. This could be an interaction you have in a relationship. This could be being friendly to a complete stranger on the street. But you felt it. You've glowed. People around you have glowed. Because you know what? We've got the ability to glow all the time because God is in us, right? So if we are willing to connect and engage with God and the gifts that we haven't been given by God, by the Spirit, then that God is going to come out in the world manifest, and we are going to glow. So given that glow, I got 3 questions for you today. Question number 1, what makes you glow? Because we need to get in touch with that. We need to look at ourselves and not say, oh, well, I'm not really super glowy. I can recognize the glow. No. Every single one of us is a child of God. So we have been given gifts of the Spirit. It is in us. We have to acknowledge that. It is our responsibility to engage with that and let them out. We can't be in denial about our gifts. To be good Episcopalians and be like, oh, I want to be demure. No, hide it under a bushel? No, we're going to let it shine. But I think we do. I think we hide it under a bushel all the time. You know why? Because it's kind of scary to put it out there. To put it out there into the world, the thing that means the most to us, where our gifts are, because the world's hard, right? And if the world rejects you at your gift, whoa, that's a lot, so maybe I just won't do that. But that's what we're called to do. We're called to live that gift out. So what can we do to identify and claim the glorious glow that is within us? What makes you glow? How can you connect that glow more intentionally to God? Because once we embrace our glow, that thing that we're really and truly good at, what if we were intentional about knowing that it came from God and acted that way? Because sometimes we tend to think like, oh, I don't write theological treatises on the New Testament, which I don't, right? So my gifts aren't like that, right? I'm a teacher. But you know what? It's all about how we work it, how it is intentional in our minds. So when I first started graduate school, I had a teacher. Her name was Camille Howard. And she was amazing. Well, so it was a Shakespeare class. And I had been to London for a year studying Shakespeare. And I had, directed Shakespeare. So I was pretty cool about this Shakespeare thing. And so I wasn't even sure that I really kind of needed this class. But she was amazing. She's the kind of person who lit a candle to Shakespeare every class. And she glowed. There was just this energy in the class. And some people in the class were like, she's weird. But to me, that was like, there's something going on there. And as I became closer to her, I realized that she was a deeply spiritual person. As she said, she was a Roman Catholic with a Buddhist practice. She was a little weird. But what I discovered was that her spiritual life completely informed everything that had to do with her as a teacher. Right? But to be clear, we didn't talk about Jesus. Right? She wasn't proselytizing in the middle of her grad seminar on Shakespeare. But yet, she knew that this was her gift, and she was connecting that gift back to God and being intentional about offering that up. That is out there for all of us, all of the time. Being connected to our gifts and living them out into the world does not make us proselytizers, right? It is living it out authentically, the gift that we've got, the way that God gave it to us. But we've got to do that. How can you connect your glow more intentionally to God? 3, can you make other people glow with your glow? Look, glow begets glow. God needs us to glow. And the world really needs us to glow. But think about it. If God is in all of us, and we intentionally connect those gifts out into the world, and we live them out, and we are living that glow out intentionally because it's connected to God, wouldn't that change the world like instantly? You're waiting on the train platform, there's glow. You're in traffic on the highway, there's glow. It's still traffic, right? It's not magic, right? But there's glow connected to it. That's what we've got. Camille Howard's glow influenced me. It changed as a just beginning graduate student. It changed how I connected the pieces of my life. I was going to be a teacher, right? And I also was someone who came to church on Sundays, but those were kind of separate until they weren't, until I realized that how I live it can impact other people. And we all have that. All of your glows have the ability to impact other people if you are willing to put yourself out there and give that glow into the world. And look, I don't care if you're young, old, whatever, right? No one gets to go, oh, well, I did my glow back in the day. I'm resting now. Younger generations turn to glow. The glow is in the present moment. Hopefully you have glowed in the past. Yay, thank you. We're grateful. But what this is about is now. This is about who you are, where you are, at this very moment in time. And remember, this is not a burden. This is not something new that you take on because we all have no free time. We're all overburdened by our lives, right? So this isn't another thing to take on. This is who you are. This is what you are already doing. It is just changing how you're doing it and being intentional about it and letting that glow manifest in the world. This is who you are. This is who God is with you. This is who God wants you to be. This is you glowing. That is what we've got to do. So let's be like Jesus. Let's be like Moses. Let's get our glow on. Because the world desperately needs us to. So, do you glow?